Welcome back to the Variety Show, and today we are on another Retro Ramble. Now, this isn't a in-person one, instead we're coming to you courtesy of Zencaster.com, and I have Drewlusion with me. Say hello, Drew.
Hello. Oh, as I say sometimes.
Yeah, indeed. How are you doing, sir? It's very good to see you.
No, good to see you too. Thank you for having me. I'm doing all right.
And how's Twitch been? Twitch is your main broadcast, isn't it, that you do?
It is, yes. I'm not sure if I'm branching over to YouTube anytime soon. I know there's a thing that lets you stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, but I haven't quite looked into it too much. But
yeah, we had a play with it. It's called, the one that we used was restream.io. It's free to use, and yeah, you plug all your details in and off you go, and then you get all your chat in one place as well, which was quite nice. And I think you can pay for it, and it gives you a less slow. My God, the English that I'm using today is phenomenal. It gives you a faster connection. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, so you are a Twitch person. What is your main thing that you broadcast on Twitch?
I mostly, not always, but mostly I try and see what kind of indie games I can get for relatively cheap, and that's the sort of thing I've been going for recently. I also try and focus on things that have a very strong narrative focus, because that's kind of my thing I like.
That's your jam. Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Yes.
Well, what we'll do, we'll make sure all of your channels in the metadata of the show, and of course at the end you'll have your chance to sell yourself, and anything like Patreon or followers that you can get, please do advertise that at the end.
Okay,
but we'll crack on with the, as I call them, the typically generic questions for gaming. And we'll go with that very first one, which is, what is your first gaming memory?
Right. So it's kind of hard to pick down my absolute first gaming memory, because I have some very vague memories of the olden days. Because I remember we had a Spectrum, but I was like 4 at the time, and I had no idea how to work it. So
I'm going to assume you were a child of the 80s then.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. So same as me.
Late 80s, but yes.
Okay, so yeah, I was mid to early 80s, you're late 80s, so that makes sense, having the Spectrum and not remembering it too well. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So I can't actually remember any games we had on it. I just remember we had it. And likewise, we had an Atari. I'm not sure if we just called them the Atari over here. I'm very used to the internet calling it the 2600.
Right, okay, so I was going to say, which model Atari? So yeah, the 2600, possibly one of the most common variants, I guess, until you got the more expensive ones that were weirdly lacking in support and probably had less games, but still did the 2600 games.
Probably, yes. I can't remember what other models there are.
Yeah. Okay, so those are an interesting choice. So what are you going to pin down as your first memory then? Or it might not be either of those, I guess.
Actually, yes. I'm trying to think. I was trying to think of a time where it's like, oh wow, video games are a cool thing, aren't they? I very vaguely remember back. I can't remember. Must have been like early 90s, about going around shops back in the days where they still showed off entertainment consoles.
Yeah.
In the very randomly, Co-op had a furniture store.
Did it?
Apparently, at least in the town I used to frequent, they had one.
No, I know that it's Co-ops is one of those weird ones, and I'm sure they probably did have lots of different businesses. Because yes, you had the Co-op newsagent / supermarket.
Yeah.
You had Co-op funeral care, which
that's a new one.
Oh, no, Co-op funeral care is around. Oh, especially where we are in Hertfordshire, there's several of those. So they can do your funeral, they can feed you, and it turns out then that they can also furnish your house. Maybe it's all one together. They kill you with the food, they bury you, and then they take your furniture to sell on.
Probably. So yes. Anyway, back then I think that's where I saw Sonic the Hedgehog for the first time on the Mega Drive, and I was like, oh wow, this is cool. And they also had the 3DO there at one point, and then they stopped doing video games altogether. So
it's interesting you say about the 3DO. You're not the first person I've spoken to that said they saw one out in the wild, and I'm trying to think about all the times that I used to go around places, and obviously we've chatted about this before on other episodes, the places I bought games from were from Boots, W.H. Smith's, Woolworths, and then we had a dedicated game shop called Software Plus. And I think the only time I ever saw any semblance of a 3DO was in Software Plus, and it was an import. So we didn't even, it wasn't even out of the box. It would have been on the back shelves behind the till, and it was a, if you knew what you were buying, then you'd go up and ask for it, but it wasn't something that was just readily available. Otherwise, I'm fully with you on the whole Sonic the Hedgehog thing, because I think, yeah, Boots used to have a, it had a SNES with let me think, I think it was Mario All Stars they used to have in
Oh
it for the
yes.
advertising, and then they had a Mega Drive 2 with Sonic 1 in it. And yeah, the shop workers, if you got in there early enough, you could have a quick go on Green Hill Zone, and
Yep.
then some grumpy old person would come over and disconnect the controllers until the kids had left.
Yep. I remember that.
Okay, no, so that's not a bad memory. And so Sonic, then I take it was one of your kind of first real goes on, not just gaming, because obviously you had the PlayStation, not PlayStation, I mean the Spectrum and the Atari, but this would have been kind of your introduction to home consoles, I guess.
And in a weird way, yes, because as we'll probably get into growing up, because I didn't actually have that many Sega consoles. We were very much a Nintendo house for a while, but
Yeah.
I just generally had a lot of interest in Sonic for some whatever reason. But
Well,
um,
it's a cracking series of games, excluding the, I think it was the Xbox 360 one, wasn't it? Sonic, whatever
yes,
it is, 2006, which I think we can all agree was a bad idea by Sega. It's otherwise been a really solid
yeah,
franchise, especially the
yes.
Dreamcast Sonic Adventure.
Oh god, yeah. I feel that Sonic Adventure's a game that's not exactly aged brilliantly, but it's a game that I hold very near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely. I mean, my friend Luke bought a Dreamcast, and that was one of the first games he had on it, and it was phenomenal. We loved playing it. Having played, not necessarily, I don't think it's quite a full remaster, but playing the one that came out on the Xbox 360 as part of the Sega collection.
Oh yes.
Um, Again, amazing to play, but you realize this really hasn't aged brilliantly as
No.
platformers go in comparison to what we've got now, let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. As I've said to Biffo and various other people, everybody's first memory is different, which is why I like asking that question.
Oh.
And Sonic again is up there with my first memories of gaming. I mean, I grew up with the Specky, but home console games, unless I was around a friends, and a lot of my friends had things like Amigas instead, so it wasn't really home console gaming. We were playing things like Captain Planet off the Amiga
Oh god,
500.
yes.
Um, my first proper go at home console gaming would have probably been the Mega Drive in boot. So very, very similar. So moving on then. So obviously
Yeah.
we know you had a Specky and you had an Atari at home. So feel free to answer this how you would like. First console you were bought or that you bought, whichever one gives you the fondest memory.
Um I'll go with the one that I was bought because yeah, I didn't exactly have money for a while. That would be a Game Gear, which I was about 6 or 7 at the time.
Wow, okay, that's an interesting choice to go for the Game Gear. Was there any? Did you choose that, or was it a
Uh,
choice that was made for you?
I think I ooh, wow. I actually don't remember. Um I think I met my brother had a Game Boy. Um I may this may be me. I want to play Sonic games, and that was like the cheapest way to do it. I'm assuming, but
Interesting. Okay,
yeah.
no, fair enough. I was going to say, because if your brother had got the Game Boy, I mean, the Game Boy had been storming the market at that point anyway. Let's face it. If you look at the
Hmm.
news from back then, and if you look at any retro collection or magazine now, you'll know that the Game Boy was the prime handheld to have, and it's held that position beautifully. But the Game Gear, it was just a bit like the Atari Lynx, wasn't it? You had a color screen,
Yep.
not as many games as the Game Boy had, but
Yeah.
it felt like you were getting more than you were with the Game Boy. You actually looked at the games on the Game Gear, you looked at the games on the Atari Lynx, and you thought these look phenomenal. I mean, on the most part, they weren't that different. They just had a bit of color to them, and we went through batteries considerably quicker.
Yes, on that front, my dad also got me an adapter, so I didn't actually have to worry about draining batteries every 5 seconds. But
Yeah,
that did mean it wasn't exactly a very portable console for me. But
no, it weighed a lot. If I remember, was it? I know the Lynx was definitely 6 batteries, wasn't it? Or what? No, the Lynx was 8 batteries. I think was the Game Gear 6 batteries in the
it
end.
was 6 or 8. I really don't remember,
Yeah,
but it
but
was a lot.
it made it rather heavy, so it wasn't exactly something you could sit holding right in front of you. So you had to put it down on your lap. Then you got a kind of crick in your neck, which never felt wonderful. But I would say actually the Sonic games on the Game Gear were phenomenal, and the other one that I really enjoyed was Tails Adventure.
Oh my god, yes. Obviously, I asked for that because I became a bit of a bigger Tails fanboy, probably because I'm a younger brother and I'm always player
So
two.
you were the second
But
controller.
yes. I really like, yeah, there was a very weird Sonic game, but that was kind of a bit of an introduction to Retroid Mania games in a way for me.
Yeah, I can agree with that absolutely. I would say the one weird choice about you getting a Game Gear would have been, unless your brother was really adamant they weren't going to share their games with you, you would have thought parental choice wise, get them a Game Boy, then they can share games.
Um, I don't remember what the situation was on that one. I actually very weirdly, somewhere down the line, I did get a Game Boy Pocket because apparently I got it when I opened up an account with Halifax.
Wow. Okay, now
Yeah,
that is a giveaway and a half, isn't it? Because the Game Boy Pocket, phenomenal bit of kit, beautifully sized, had the backlight as well, or was that the
I
Japan
don't
only one?
I don't think it had a backlight, no, but it was definitely it was definitely an easier thing to look at than the original Game Boy.
Well, yeah, there's one somewhere behind me, a classic yellow one. Cool. Okay. And other than Tails Adventure, was there any other games on the Game Gear that were particularly your favorite?
Such when I first got it, I had there was a Donald Duck game I quite like playing, which I can't remember, tell you if it was I can't remember if it was any good or not, but it was a case of it was the only game I had, so I
I was
went
gonna
back to it.
say, was that Quack Attack by any chance?
I don't
Quack
think
Shot.
no. What have I written down?
Oh,
Oh, Lucky Dime Caper.
Lucky Dime Caper. That's not one I've heard of actually. Let's have a quick look here. Lucky Dime Caper. What sort of game was it?
Uh,
Um,
Platformer esque, like very platformy, but not with a whole lot of platforming. For all I remember,
right. Oh, okay.
you're Donald Duck. You've got a mallet. You fight a bear at some point. Um,
Yeah, Donald Duck seemed to always get a mallet in the games. I don't know when that origin of a mallet came about. I don't know if that was because of the cartoons or was it just something that as soon as video games appeared, all characters had to be issued some sort of weapon? And his, yeah, you're right, was always a mallet.
yeah, weird.
A little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it here. It was a Master System game. And
Oh
again,
yes,
that was it, wasn't it? The Game Gear basically played Master System versions of games. So you could get the adapter, couldn't you? That allowed you to
yeah.
play Master System games on the Game Gear.
Oh well, I think that might have been done the other way around as well. That
I
must
don't
have
know if it. I
maybe.
don't.
I
I
don't
don't know if
remember.
that was done the other way around, but I know there was a Master System adapter, along with the TV adapter. Yes.
See, TV adapter rings a bell. I didn't have one myself, but
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, you could play Master System games on the Game Gear, and there does look like there was an adapter to play Game Gear games on the Master System, but I don't know if that looks to be a prototype. So
oh,
interesting. That may not have actually existed back then. That's
okay.
that's a very cool thing to look at. But yeah, it was
Hmm.
the TV tuner that I was the most envious of on the Game Gear because
Uh,
a friend of mine had it, and it's like, wow, you've got your own TV that you can carry around with you.
yeah, I never had one of those myself, but I was always amazed by them. But I also think, do they even work?
Well, I don't imagine back then it was probably you could get one or two channels if you were lucky, and you probably wanted to carry the mains adapter around with you, knowing how quickly batteries back then
Oh,
drained.
oh
And
God,
let's face it,
yes.
kids nowadays have no idea because you can go and buy Amazon. We buy Amazon Basics batteries here, and they're brilliant. They last forever, just absolutely forever.
All
Whereas
right.
the batteries I could afford back in the early 90s were the old school Panasonic ones you'd buy from the newsagent. And yeah, they wouldn't last for more
Uh,
than a couple of minutes. Bad times. Okay,
yeah.
talking about game shops then. What game shop do you remember the most?
I was going to start by saying I don't. I've heard the other episodes, and I don't really remember having a little personal shop in my area. Well,
Well, not
actually, that's not.
everywhere did.
No, that's not 100% true. I very vaguely remember during the Amiga days there was a very little place that did the odd um yeah, like yeah, mostly Amiga stuff and like the odd home console stuff. But I think I went in there like twice for whatever reason, probably because I didn't have any money.
It was the sanctuary of the gamer, the game shops. They really were because even back then, I don't know about kind of your area, but I know around where we are here in Hertfordshire, St Albans, a lot of the game shops were pretty decent. Actually, they welcomed people in, and the people that were running them seemed to genuinely care about gaming at that point.
Oh,
And you could go in, you could have conversations and chat about what was coming out, what all of that sort of stuff, and just spend half a day there.
no, I don't have anything like that, unfortunately.
Oh, that is a
Uh,
sad time. But
hmm.
where did most of your games come from then?
Um, that is a good question. Probably game at one point,
Right.
but
Okay. So when it was
that's
game, or was this prior to it being game, and it was more likely to be Electronics Boutique?
I was actually going to bring up Electronics Boutique. I do. There was Electronics Boutique in Eastbourne. I particularly have fond memories of.
Okay.
Which
Yeah. Because I think it was Electronics Boutique was the first reward card I think I had from anywhere. So because they used to do their what turned into the game card, I guess you got the Boutique card. It was silver. It had the red EB logo on it, and I don't think it
oh,
really did much when I first got one. I think it was just to have one.
I don't. I must have been too young to have my own loyalty card because I don't remember that.
It's yeah,
Uh,
it's just one of those things. I think it must have been the predecessor to the game cards that exist. I think they still exist now.
I think I have a game card, but I have no idea. I know I'm collecting points on it on the very odd time I go to game, but I have no idea what I can do with those points.
Well, yeah, exactly. I remember you used to be able to use the points to get vouchers, but it slowly became less and less game orientated, and I think it now it's if it is still vouchers, it's something stupid like 100,000 points will get you a pound coin or something silly
Uh,
like that. I mean, this isn't one of the questions, but what's your stance on game nowadays with them saying that they're going to stop doing retail game retail pre-orders that you can just order
oh,
online and they'll come to your home rather than just going into shop and buying them from there now?
um, well, I know most games have pretty much disappeared, and now if they do exist out in the wild, you have to go into
Sports
Sports Direct.
Direct.
Yes, um, it's hard to really say. Like, oh,
I mean,
it's yeah. So
it's a disappointing state of affair from
it
our
oh,
point.
definitely.
It's the game shop, as I said, it used to be the sanctuary for many of us. You could go and spend, even in fairly modern times, you go in and look through the rack of new games, look at the pre-owned games, and think, "Oh, which of these could I take home, or should I take home?" I mean, Conflict Desert Storm. I would never have bought that new, but it was down to $4.99 on the original Xbox
Oh
on
wow.
the pre-order, not pre-order, sorry, on pre-owned. So I thought, I'll give this a try. I took it home, and it's one of my all-time favorite cooperative games I've ever played. Same as Conflict Desert Storm 2. They are both so good fun when you've got one other person to play with.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I probably had I had a very brief experience with being able to talk to people with games like that when I think it was. what was the predecessor to CEX? Was it Game Station?
So yeah, you had Computer Exchange has been around for a lot longer than people give it creed for, really. But yeah, you're right. You had Game Station was the other
Mm.
main one on the street, which ended up, I don't know if they were part owned or they went into partnership, ended up in Blockbuster.
Oh,
So you had Blockbuster movie rentals, and then the game section was run by Game Station in a lot of them by the end of it.
okay. Hmm.
Which was a nice thing. Don't get me wrong, because it was actually coming into the world of work, finishing work at, let's say, 5 p.m., going home, having your dinner, to be able to go to Blockbuster at 7 or 8 o'clock at night and there still be a fully open game shop with all the new releases, game consoles, controllers, you name it. It was absolutely brilliant. It was the only time, except for the weekend, you could get to go to a shop like that. So if there
Oh
had been
yeah.
a release that everyone was playing, you could quickly nip in there, buy it, and then join in during the week.
I think I just remember. I actually think, yeah, I actually completely forgot. We did have a like a video rental store that did the games at one point, which I went into like a few times. I think this was like the Nintendo 64 era.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, and definitely the PlayStation as well. A couple once or twice.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, so that will
Mm.
be the Saturn, the PlayStation, the N64, and I mean, it's funny to think that Blockbuster not only did game rentals, but how long they did game rentals for. I mean, I'm sure they did it before this, but I remember them having things like SNES and Mega Drive games up for rental. So,
Oh, I
and then
vaguely remember that. Yeah.
you could also go in and you could rent a console.
Oh wow.
So I
Mm.
don't know if it was on the SNES and the Mega Drive era, but I know for the PlayStation era, you used to be able to rent the console for the weekend plus 2 games. And it used to be fairly, I wouldn't say cheap, but it was an effective price to get people doing it, I think, to prove
Oh
to a
yeah.
parent, maybe I would like this for Christmas or my birthday. Look, I promise I will play it. This is what it does. So, yeah, it was, again, a different era, I guess.
Oh, I think so. Yes. I think I very again. I use the word vaguely a lot because my memory's a bit blurry. My uh brother really had to make an argument with my parents about getting a Super Nintendo, about how often he's going to be using it and how expensive games are going to be and all that noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
game expense. It's not going to ruin my schoolwork. I'm not going to be glued to the
Oh
TV
no.
all day. I'll still go outside and breathe air. I promise.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question: worst gaming memory or your worst letdown moment for gaming?
It is Sonic related, I'm afraid, and it will be back to the Game Gear. I'm not sure if I'm going to be hating on this too badly, but Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Game Gear, but for very specific reasons.
Oh, well, no, fill us in. Give us those
Okay.
reasons.
So I think a lot of when I saw when Sonic 2 was coming out, it was all the Mega Drive stuff I was seeing. The Game Gear and the Master System one, it was a very different experience. Like I was like I said, I was a big Tails fanboy. Tails technically wasn't in the game. He's like I think he's like he was like the damsel in distress.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, that game is ridiculously, as I was a child at the time. That game is ridiculously unfair. Like the biggest issue is all the act threes where you have to fight the boss, no rings. So every boss is a one hit kill for you.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. And let's face it, we all hate that. Everyone got to the end of the Mega Drive Sonic 2 knowing that pain of going up against Mecha Sonic
Oh
with
yeah.
only one ring and watching it immediately just either vanish or bounce off screen straight away.
Oh yeah. Well,
But okay, so I guess the problem with Sonic the Hedgehog is the first one would have translated quite nicely, I guess, to Game Gear because
yes,
it
I have.
didn't necessarily have the element of speed, did it?
No, I do have a lot of friends who do speak very highly of the Master System version of the original Sonic.
Yeah.
Uh, Mostly because of the music in the bridge level, I think, which is a banger. But
So,
yeah.
but I would say coming to Sonic 2, I mean that really was the era of um Sega can when Nintendo don't, and have you got the power of blast processing?
Oh
So
God, yeah.
if you'd seen any of those adverts and seen Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in those, I'm guessing what you were then expecting for the Game Gear was going to be as faster paced, powerful game that the Mega Drive people were getting.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a big slowdown as well. Um,
I mean, I
and
guess
yeah,
one thing we can say for them though is they weren't as bad as the 80s eras of and early 90s. Well, early 90s, it is early 90s, but they weren't as bad as, let's say, the Amiga and the home computer market, giving you a game and showing you screenshots of whatever the most powerful version could be. So things like Street Fighter 2 on the ZX Spectrum getting the full arcade graphics on the back of the box.
oh no, I don't barely remember those days, but I have seen what the old versions of Street Fighter on weaker consoles look like.
It's not a good thing, but I
No.
can understand where you're going with Sonic 2 on the Game Gear. It felt very much more like the first Sonic on the Game Gear, just an extended kind of version of that. It didn't hit home as the second game for the Mega Drive did, and being released at similar times,
Mm.
obviously, yeah, a lot of people are going to be struggling with that. I mean, I'm just looking here. It predated its 16-bit counterpart by less than a month. So let's face it, that would have meant already 6 months of things like Games Master Magazine would have had images and information about it. Sega Power would
Mm.
have had information about it. So yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people were thinking this is going to be just like the Mega Drive version. It's going to be fast,
Oh,
furious.
probably.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So
Mm.
that you'd say that is your worst gaming memory then. Was there any other reasons?
Um, Actually, yes. There was I think yeah, I wouldn't say it was a bad game personally, but I think the hype that I had for it kind of let me down in that regard. And
Again, that's the beauty of this question because
mm,
it isn't necessarily if the game is bad. I mean, I've played games that people have said are bad that I adore. It's more about that getting into the memory of it and getting into the moment of being little or littler you and going, oh, this is such a, I can't believe I wasted my money on this. So
yeah,
I feel your pain on that because
uh,
it was disappointing. I
yeah,
remember playing it myself and thinking, why is this so different?
yes,
Um, as you're right, it was a completely different game. Okay, retro or modern gaming? Now you are a grown adult. Which would you
yes.
choose?
Right. So in this day and age, I am like I've said, I on Twitch, and when I do my streaming, I do a lot of things on that I can find on Steam. I'm forgetting all my words. Um and yeah, so I would say modern because yeah, the indie scene is just ridiculous at the moment. Like there's whatever you're into, there's probably an indie game that will appeal to you in one shape or form.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's a fair enough
Uh,
choice. Is there how if it was a percentage, what would you go? Would you say you were 100% dedicated to the modern gaming now? Or would you say it's a
oh,
50-50 split? Or even as you've gone for the modern side, would you say it's a 51-49 sort of split? Is it?
I'd say 51-49. I'm absolutely not going to discount the retro scene entirely. This is yeah, there's definitely some good things there, and also like there is a lot of um oldie inspired modern games as well. So
No, of course. Okay, well, final question then. Biffo went with, I think he went with Half-Life 2 in the end on this. What's your desert island game? It doesn't matter if
right,
it's modern or if it's old, it's whatever you choose.
right, this is going to be you might be opening up a whole thing here.
Right,
So
okay.
anyway, I wanted to say, all right, I did some. There was a way I wanted to start this because I did. All right, before I my when you told me what the questions were going to be, my go-to answer was going to be Sam Max Hit the Road, which was my favorite game of all time growing up.
Brilliant LucasArts
Yes.
game, yeah.
Yep. I really just want to say my mind is a swelling menagerie of scintillating thoughts and turgid ideas because that sentence has lived in my head rent free since I was 10.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. But I
Uh,
from the way you're saying that though, this wouldn't be your choice. Is that is just still
No,
your choice?
it is not. I listened to the DJ Slope episode who brought up you want to bring up you want to have something that you can play for a while, and I could probably finish that game in an hour and a half. So
Ah, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
yes, there is a there is a little indie game series that's come very near and dear to my heart, and that would be Monster Prom.
Oh, I've not heard of this one.
So, it's a very weird game. It's like a stat building cooperative visual novel.
Right. Okay.
Um, how do I describe it? It's like, well, yeah, yeah. It does play up like it does sort of play up the whole dating game sort of stereotypes a lot, but it's also it's just
Yeah.
generally very silly and weird. I really I feel like I'm not really doing it justice. It's a so the setup is you okay, yes, the setup is you go it's set in this sort of monster inhabited world. Everyone you go to a high school, but everyone's in their early 20s, which I'm assuming is to sort of make the whole everyone's obsessed with drugs and sex a
Yeah.
little less
Okay.
creepy.
That's to
But
fit that side of it.
yes, but the canonical explanation is their society is based on the human documentary Saved by the Bell.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay. I'm just
Eh,
looking at the graphic style here, and it's a very common kind of art style at the moment,
oh
isn't it? But
yes.
it's also it's not. I think a lot of people are fairly unfair when they hear indie. They're not necessarily very accepting, and I know it's getting a better market now for indie games, but I think a lot of people hear indie and immediately assume it's not going to be polished, it's going to be rough, it's going to be ready. And yes, there are games like that, but
Mm.
this looks incredibly polished.
Oh yeah, it's there was a ridiculous amount to it. Like it's. Let's not. I wouldn't say it's the most complicated game. Is you base it like it's a stat building sort of idea. So you go to a place and you get a random stat, and then like an event happens which it tells you about, and then you're given like you have to make a choice of options of how you want to respond to the situation,
Yeah.
and depending on your stats, either choice could be correct, or not, neither of them could be correct if they're too low. So
Right.
there's a lot of
So the replayability then I'm guessing is going to be quite high because there's
oh
obviously option upon option upon option.
oh very much so, yes. And
Oh,
yeah, so there's like so yes, you got the original game has got like six people you can try and talk to, and sometimes they get random secret events, and you can buy items which it's another secret event. So yes, the amount of replayability is ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, I'm just looking here. The developer for it is Beautiful Glitch.
Yep.
It's got a very positive all review basis with just coming under 12,000 very positive reviews. Um, if you want to just buy the standard game, that's 9.29 on Steam at the moment, or you can buy the what they're calling the franchise bundle, which looks
Hmm.
like a little bit like The Sims. So you've got Monster Road Trip, Monster
Yeah.
Camp. So you've got a variety of the same characters or
Oh
storyline, but it
yes.
branches into different standards. And that's about £46. So as games go, it's for a single game, I guess it's fairly priced. And if you're interested, I guess that bundle for what it looks like you get, and as you say about the maybe not infinite choices, but definitely a very large number of choices to make the game random each time. I think
Yeah.
that sounds good value.
Yeah, it's like obviously it's like if you probably have to have some interest in the whole visual novel thing, like probably Phoenix Wright would be the softest example.
So
Trying to think.
that's a name I haven't heard for a long time because obviously that was I think that first time I came across that would have been the DS sort of
Oh
era of
yeah.
gaming. Is that still going? Do you know as a
Um,
franchise?
I know you could. I think you can buy. It'll be under Ace Attorney, but you can buy all the games on Steam now.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, I do love a bit of Steve. Oh yeah, look at that Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy at £30. Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. They are. There's 7 games according to the franchise here. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
No,
Would
not
you
at all.
like to pimp your Twitch and anything else that you're doing at the moment? Feel free
Um,
on social media stuff and everything like that. Where can
right.
people find you or support
Okay.
you?
Yes, thank you very much. So I am. I should probably just double check to make sure I get the right one. So yes, I can be found on Twitch under the name Drewlusions. Um, what else? I'm not on Twitter. I am on Blue Sky, which I mostly just. I don't. I'm not exactly super active. I mostly post about when I'm streaming.
Yeah.
What
I
else? I was also I do occasionally post. I think I'll be under Drew Illusions again on YouTube, where I do try and post clips of what I've been doing on stream, which is just me trying just to show how silly I am and stuff.
And I think people can find you, if I'm right, on the Nikki and Bunty Discord.
Oh yes, and I do frequently Nicky and Bunty's Discord a lot too.
So again, if you want a wonderful accepting space that accepts you no matter who or what you are, head over to
Yep.
Nikki and Bunty, where again also you've got the phenomenal game that Nikki's been working on, Quantum Witch,
Quantum Witch.
which
Yep.
looks absolutely phenomenal. Have you played a demo of it yet?
Oh yes. I did play it. I do actually did it on my stream some time ago, and I believe it's next month the actual game comes out.
Not long now. Not
No,
long now. Well,
no.
check all the metadata of this episode to find Drew's information again. Make sure you go over and support them because that would be greatly appreciated. Just remember, as we keep saying to all our creators that join us on these little retro rambles, it is the patronage and it is the people that support creators that allow creators to keep going. If you disappear, creators disappear. We then end up having to go back to watching the BBC, which is not something I think many of us would like to do. So, Drew, thank you so much, and we'll catch up
Thank
again
you.
soon.
Yes, thank you very much.
This was a Studio Channel 84 network show. To find more, head over to channel84.co.uk now.